Right, class, can you see the slides?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
Thank
doctor,
you.
we can see the slides.
Thank you. Filling in gaps of missing information. Filling in gaps of missing information. The information is implied or suggested, not stated. Inferences, conclusions, and predictions. Writing suggests more than it says. Again, writing suggests more than it says. Maybe I can add this here in a slide. Writing suggests more than it says. Okay, and so we need then some tools to help us recover such suggestions. Suggests more than it says. We need some tools to help us recover the implied. Recover the implied. And so we need to go beyond the literal comprehension to inferential comprehension. This is, as we have said, the second layer of meaning, or the second way of thinking about a reading. The second way of reading a reading, or thinking about a reading. So, having established the fact that writing suggests more than it says, then we need to recover, as I said, meanings suggested or implied. So, therefore, we need some tools or skills to develop some tools or skills that can enable us or help us recover implied meanings. Implied meanings. Recover implied meanings. In today's presentation or class, or by the end of this discussion, you should be able to make inferences, draw conclusions, and make predictions, and learn how to look for evidence, textual evidence or clues, textual evidence or allusive clues. They are allusive because they're being only alluded to. Alluded to. Does anyone know what allude means? Alluded to. The verb allude, to allude to. Allude. If something is being alluded to, or if you allude to something, then you mention it briefly. Or, yeah, like mentioning something briefly. Allude, allusion, allusive clues. There are some allusive clues in the text. textual evidence. So you need to learn also to base your conclusions and inferences and also predictions. You need to base all these ways of recovering unstated meanings. Ways of recovering unstated meanings. You need to base these ways on textual evidence or allusive clues. Okay? You need to base recovered meanings you need to base recover meanings on textual evidence or allusive clues in the text. Because if there is no basis, then these guesses will not be educated, will be wild guesses. So unless there is a basis, a clue in the text, then your guess will be wrong. Your guess will be wrong. I will modify this slide or statement later on. So these are the objectives then of the class: to draw, to make, or to draw. Notice the collocation, by the way. We say to make inferences, but draw conclusions. We say to make predictions. All right. Having said that, let's quickly now define each of these three foundational skills for recovering unstated meanings, used for recovering unstated meanings. As I said, I will fix this later on. So, the first of which is making inferences. What is an inference? Is a guess. And so is drawing conclusions, is also a guess. And so is making a prediction. It's also a guess. An educated guess. What makes it educated is basing it on two things: text clues, we've said allusive clues in the text, textual evidence or clues, and number two, background knowledge, your understanding of the world. So two things: your understanding of the text and your understanding of the world. And so an inference is a logical guess, an educated guess, an informed guess. Okay, educated, informed guess or conclusion based on evidence, number one, and the prior knowledge, number two. So it is the interaction between what is in the text and what you know about the world, your imagination, your conjecture, your mind, your prior knowledge, your background knowledge, it's the interaction between what you know as a member of this world and clues in the text that can result in inferences, in these implied suggested meanings. So recovering such meanings depends on the interaction between what is in the text and what you know about the world. And so, in a mathematical formula, an inference is what is in the passage plus what you already know. What is in the passage plus what you already know equals inference. Making this slide should have been before this one. Making inferences, drawing conclusions, and making predictions, these are foundational skills, as we have said. They are a prerequisite for higher order thinking and 21st century skills. Back to inference. So these are some kinds of questions that we ask when we infer. What to infer? These are things that we can infer from the text. From a text, infer supporting details, guessing. As I said, it's all guessing. But your guess can be wild or educated depending on whether you base it on textual evidence or not. You can infer supporting details, you can infer the main idea. Sometimes, as we taught you last semester, the main idea may be implied. It may not be stated at all. It may be implied in a text. The main idea can be the main idea sentence. The topic sentence can be the first sentence in a paragraph, can be in the middle, can be the last sentence, can be split into two, one at the beginning and one somewhere in between. Like there are advantages for using an iPhone. You talk about the advantages and then you say, however, there are some disadvantages. And so there are then so the main idea sentence here is split into two. So this paragraph is about the advantages and disadvantages of mobile phones. And it can be implied. It can be implied. There is no one sentence stating expressly or explicitly this main idea of the author. So in this case, it is implied. And in many cases, you have a stated main idea and an implied main idea. The stated one you will get easily, but you may fail to get the implied main idea. Last semester, we talked about two types of main ideas. Stated main idea. If you have forgotten, I can remind you, here is the book. I can remind you of the chapter or the part of the book. For example, identifying the implied main idea of a paragraph. Identifying the stated main idea of a paragraph. And so this is chapter 3. Topic, stated main idea and implied main idea. Implied main idea. So in many cases, you have a stated topic sentence and which communicates a stated main idea. And in many cases, there might also be an implied main idea. When we read, we look for main ideas, whether implied or suggested. Whether stated or implied. We look for main ideas. So if you only get the main idea, the stated one, and you do not or fail to recover the hidden to recover, to make an inference, to recover what is suggested rather than said, then it's not that you haven't understood the text, but someone else will have a deeper understanding of it, will see things you have not seen, because you have only read the text at the literal level. You haven't read the text at the inferential level. You haven't engaged your mind deeper to recover such meanings. After all, words, we may argue, do not have meanings in themselves. Meaning is rather the result of the interaction between the reader and the text. Do you see what I mean? Or am I beginning to be... There is this view or theory that words do not have meaning. Meaning is actually the result of the interaction between the reader and the text. This is known as the schema theory. Schema theory. One theory about reading, about how we construct meanings. So according to this theory, words have no meaning. Meaning is the result of what we bring to the text. Our background knowledge. So when we read, what happens according to this theory is that our background knowledge is being activated by the words we see in the text. So words do not have meaning. They only help to activate what we know. And this activation results in the meanings that we get. Anyhow, you can read about theories of reading, but my point is that there are meanings that are beyond the stated elements of the text. So you need to dig deeper. Do not stay at the surface level. School children. That's literal comprehension only. We may find two people reading the same text, but each one has a different understanding of it. So meaning does not lie in the text per se. Meaning lies in the interaction between you and the text. It's what you bring to the text. It's this activation, this background knowledge. Okay? Shall I skip this point or add some more? What does this mean? Silence. Silence in many cases implies consent. Haha, by the way, notice what I have said. Silence in many cases implies consent. Implies. We get the message that you agree if you're silent. Now this meaning is implied because it is not stated. You haven't said that I agree. But your silence can be read as a sign of consent. So much of what we say actually also is suggested. This is one of the characteristics of a human language. Okay, let's go. I think you can see what I'm doing. Let's go to Introduction to Reading. Let's go to Theories of Reading. Can you see any theories here in the introduction folder? reading theories. Okay, we don't want to go into these theories, but very quickly, the schema theory, since we have touched upon schema.
Doctor, can you zoom into them, into the document?
Okay, just one theory. Can you see?
Yes, doctor.
Schema theory tries to explain how readers utilize a prior knowledge to understand and get new information from the text. So prior knowledge. The theory claims or argues that written text does not carry meaning by itself. It only guides readers to retrieve or construct meaning from the structures or patterns of this prior knowledge. These structures are called schemata. A text about transportation, for example, would trigger our schemata about the different types of transportation. So if you read the text, for example, about transportation, then to your mind comes if it's land transportation, bicycle, motorcycle. You imagine car, van, bus, train, subway, for example. Air, you imagine airplane, helicopter, water, ship, sailboat, yacht, canoe. In addition, before reading a passage about airports, as readers, we know that airplanes can fly. They have wheels that they can land on. They can take passengers to different places. They have wings that make them fly. You have to check in before boarding. Is closely related to two other schema theory is closely related to two other important notions, namely top-down and bottom-up processing. We don't want to go further, but the point is that here, as the theory argues, written text does not carry meaning by itself. It only nudges, it only guides readers to retrieve. You have the meanings, retrieve or construct meaning from the structures that are or patterns already in your mind. Already in your mind as part of your background knowledge or world knowledge. Maybe this can be discussed at the beginning of a reading class the semester. Maybe next semester I'll make it a point to talk about or introduce or discuss briefly some reading theories at the beginning of the semester. Where are we? We've gone a bit far. So, what to infer? You can infer the main idea, you can infer sequence, guessing what action or incident might have taken place between two explicitly stated actions or incidents. Infer comparisons, infer cause-effect relationships, infer character traits, whether a character in a story is generous, is mean, is hospitable, is predict outcomes, guessing the outcome of a selection after reading an initial portion. So we're moving here into prediction. Inferring about figurative language. We've said we're moving here into prediction. Yes, you've got to see that there is a fine line, a fine thread between these three skills. They are interrelated. I mean, they all deal with meanings unstated, but there is a small difference between them. That's why we have inferences, conclusions, and predictions. These are some types of inference questions that can be asked. What can the reader infer about the character? What can the reader infer as a result of what he or she is reading and what he or she brings to the text? His mind, his imagination, his conjecture, his knowledge, being a member of this planet Earth. Someone living in Mars, a Martian, another planet, reading a text written by an Earthan, someone living on Earth, will not be able to make inferences, even if he or she or it understands the text, but cannot make inferences because they do not have or share the same background knowledge. They are not member of our world. Remember that authors or writers imply. You infer. They imply, we infer what they have implied. We try to recover the implied. What inference can be made? What is the mood, feeling created in the story? What is the character feeling? Even what is the tone of the author? The tone. What is the character doing? What happened in the story? When does the story take place? Which of these best describes? What is the setting? What is the setting? This is especially if you are reading fiction. If you are reading fiction. But of course, making inferences is not restricted to fiction texts. It is used when you read fiction and non-fiction texts. So what is even the tone? What is the tone of the writer or the text? What is the tone conveyed? Whether the text is fiction or non-fiction. I think you know the difference. We've already talked about these terms last semester. Some quick benefits of making inferences. Inferences raise readers, or making inferences raises readers' overall comprehension. Readers who infer grasp the author's meaning and see the full picture, because you see the stated and the implied. It leads to more engagement with the text, because you are not confined to the literal meaning. And so when you see the implied, you suddenly become more engaged in the text. Students who instinctually, again, students who instinctually infer, make it a habit, do not only garner or get information, but also relish reading more. They enjoy reading more as they recover implied meanings. Encourages metacognitivity. You know, cognitive, your mind. Metacognitive, you go beyond thinking, where you think about the thinking. Cognitive has to do with thinking. Metacognitive. So it encourages metacognitivity. Readers utilize their background knowledge to reach logical conclusions. This fills in any missing gaps in their understanding. Instills maturity in young or fledgling readers who are not yet proficient. And so it exhorts, strongly encourages readers to think outside the box and see beyond what lies in the text, to go beyond the literal. To go beyond the literal and dig deeper into and think inferentially. Think inferentially, or dig deeper into inferential comprehension. All right. And so by making inferences, you instill maturity. That is, you become a more proficient reader. You go beyond the surface. You go beyond the surface. Okay, so these are some benefits of making inferences. These are some more examples of inferences. Imagine you witness the following unrelated situations. What can you infer about each one? You see a woman pushing a baby stroller down the street. Imagine a woman pushing a baby stroller. One thing that is most obvious to come to your mind is that the woman must be a mother, or most likely a mother. At the end, remember that it's a guess, which means that there is a possibility that you might go wrong. But the more your guess is grounded in the text, has a basis, the more you're likely to be, your inference to be correct, to be justified. So as long as there is justification, textual justification, your inference should be fine. There is a possibility that she might not be a mother. If you stretch your imagination, there might be a possibility. But if I want to give a percentage that this woman pushing a stroller is a mother, maybe 95%. 5% might be for wrong, in case this might be the baby's sister, might be the baby's mother's friend, or the baby, something like that. The baby mother's friend might be, but excuse me, do not let your imagination go wild. Also, you've got to control your imagination. Don't say that, well, this might be a woman who abducted this baby, and I mean, this is too much, because you are relying on your imagination, not the text. There is nothing in the text that can justify going this far. So as long as you find justification for your imagination, for your interpretations, for your meanings, fine. But if you tell me that what I can infer from this situation, a mother pushing a stroller on the street, that this is a woman who has abducted this baby, kidnapped him, and no, this will be, idiotic. Because there is no indication whatsoever in the text that can justify this. But a mother, there is indication, because mostly common sense, it's a mother who pushes a baby, not even a sister. A sister is there, but most likely a mother. And very unlikely a woman abducting this baby. You are at a corner and see two parked cars at an intersection, and the driver in the back starts honking his horn. You may infer that the driver in front of him could be distracted by his cellular device. So by honking, he is reminding him, hey, wake up. You are running in a marathon and someone offers you drinks. Inference, this person must be in love with him. Excuse me, are you following? You are in a marathon, running. Someone in a marathon, running, and someone else offers him drinks. So what can you infer? That this person is in love relationship with this other person? Can we infer this? Is there enough textual justification or even allusive clue to this? Which is more reasonable? That this must be a lover, or this helper is eager to help. He is eager to help this guy quench his thirst. I think it's safer to say that this is just someone who is eager to help this person, but not necessarily a lover. There isn't evidence that, he might be a lover. But the thing is that there isn't evidence in the text to justify this. So refrain from guesses that cannot be backed up by evidence, that cannot be substantiated. There has to be a logical meaning, inference. You notice a woman walking out of a building with her purse hanging loosely by her side. The street is notorious for snatch thefts. A woman hanging her handbag loosely, probably chewing gum, and walking on a street that is known for snatch theft. What can you infer about this woman? That she must be stupid? What can you infer about this woman? A street that is notorious for thefts. And this woman, with her handbag, it's like saying, see me guys, I have a snatch bag, a clutch. What can you infer about this woman? That she is being careless, that she is being an idiot, that she is what? What logical inference can you infer? The meaning is not stated. This you can recover by way of inferencing. Can we say that she is careless? Is there any justification in the text that she has this personality trait, carelessness? Can you justify this? Does anyone who walk out on a street with a handbag with the handbag hanging loosely is careless? You've got to be logical. You've got to base your guess on the text. You use your mind, but don't let your mind go wild, your imagination go wild. It has to be controlled. And so saying that she is careless, I infer that this woman is careless. I don't think it's... You cannot back it up really from the text.
She might be unfamiliar with
saying that she's stupid is also cannot be backed up from the text. Someone said she might not be familiar with this area of the town. I think this is this logical? Logical. More logical than being careless or stupid. And so I think you're beginning to see that there is a wealth of meanings implied, suggested, rather than stated. A wealth. And that writing suggests more than it says. A wealth. Remember, guys, when we talked about inferential comprehension at the beginning of the semester, remember that image, that creature, and that girl lying on a hill reading? And remember? So when we went beyond the literal, we came up with a number of ideas implied. One of them I remember, I think you remember the image. I don't need to go back to semester, to week 2 or 3, I can't remember, I think week 2 or 3. And they play that image again. You still remember it, am I right? Recall that strange creature, the one-eyed strange creature, and that girl lying on reading, and every creature reading. So we've said that this could be, I infer that this is a form of escapism, that reading can be used as a form of escapism from harsh, bitter reality. Reality as being represented by the town below, and the smoke coming from factories. So reading, you are in a peaceful environment in your own world, and many other meanings you can recover. And as I have said, different people might recover different meanings depending on how much their background knowledge can activate meanings. Remember the schema theory? Where are we? Reading. I love reading, but not more than you. Trust me. Trust me, Zati. Not more than you. Even fake. Trust me. We have no time to play detective. So we're going to skip this. So remember that the inference is made by the interaction between what is in the text and your mind. Let's look at conclusions. The conclusion is the result of the addition of many clues in a text to make a good guess. Again, it's a guess, because we're not dealing with the stated meanings. That's beyond the literal. So you cannot be 100% sure. It won't help even if you call the writer and ask him, hey writer, did you imply in your text that blah blah blah? Forget about this. The author is dead. The author is dead. Don't call the author. Did you mean this by your words? That did you suggest or imply this? The author is dead. It's you. It's not even the text. It's you and then the text. And so one may argue that meaning lies in the text, that meaning lies in the author's mind, that meaning lies in the reader's mind. Where does meaning lie? Is meaning in the text, or in the author's mind, or in your mind? Forget about the text. The author is dead, Shakespeare is dead, Milton is dead, and the author is dead. It's you. It's you. You are the chief activator of meaning. Maybe we can talk more about this next semester if I teach you reading for aesthetic purposes. Have you taken this course?
Yes,
Ha-
doctor.
You've taken it? Reading for aesthetic purposes. Who taught you this course?
Miss Maya, our coordinator was Dr. Revati.
And Dr. Ayman.
Did you come across such notions in that course? Where does the meaning lie? How do you interpret a text? Is the meaning in the text, or the meaning in the author's mind, or it is you who brings meaning to the text? How does the text convey meaning? So I think I'm going to teach this course next semester or in the short semester to a group. I don't know, I thought it would be you. So more about this will be, we're going to start the semester by dealing with issues like these. How the text conveys meaning. How the text conveys meaning. Where does meaning lie? As a beginning to reading for aesthetic pleasure. Reading for aesthetic purpose. Reading for pleasure, not information. This is aesthetic reading, not afferent reading. Afferent reading for information. Aesthetic reading for pleasure. So this will be another discussion. Back to conclusions. So adding up many clues in a text to make a good guess. Remember, go back, inference, a guess based on text clues, number 1, and background knowledge, number 2. Conclusions, adding up many clues in a text to make a good guess. And so there is only one thing to draw a conclusion, and that is evidence from text only. So evidence from text plus evidence from text plus evidence from text plus evidence from text, adding up many clues in a text to arrive at a guess at the end that is based totally on the text. That's a conclusion. We're going to skip these examples and look at predictions. What is a prediction? Is also a guess. Prediction. But it is a guess about what is going to happen next. And so you anticipate the ending before you reach it. And so notice that prediction can help improve your thinking skills. Higher order thinking skills. Because you try to exercise your your mental thoughts in advance to arrive at the meaning. So using their understanding of the facts and ideas in a text and their knowledge of the world, good readers make predictions about what will come next. This way they are thinking ahead and creating a mental framework that will help them process the next move quickly. Making predictions involves identifying elusive clues, including titles, heading, pictures, and diagrams, within the text to foretell, to tell in advance, to predict, in other words, what follows. Making predictions. Predicting the summary, these are areas where you may predict the summary of a book, predict the purpose of a book, predict future events in a story, predict the ending of a story, etc., etc. Some benefits of making predictions: a prediction encourages readers' curiosity. Before you read, you try to arrive at the meaning, at the ending, at the next. So encourages curiosity by encouraging you, exhorting the reader to think outside the box and to constantly ask questions. It raises understanding. It encourages rereading, because you need to reread to confirm your guess. So confirming your predictions. So you need to reread. If you go through the exercises in the textbook, you will have to reread to confirm your guess. The exercises, for example, on pages 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, all these are exercises about predictions. Please don't skip them. And it improves thinking skills, as we have said. Being able to make predictions is a useful skill that promotes the use of problem solving and critical thinking skills. In short, guys, an inference is a guess. A conclusion is a guess. A prediction is a guess. But all of them are educated guesses. All of them are educated guesses. I meant them to underline them, to draw attention to what is common between them, being guesses. So an inference is a guess based on text clues and background knowledge. A conclusion is adding up many clues in a text to make a good guess. A prediction is a guess made in advance about what is going to happen next. So this is actually what today's class is about. All is left is to watch this. So in any case, you do not want to anyhow. Now we're going to very quickly watch a video about these three foundational skills and then try to do some exercises in the textbook. So what are we? Inferences, conclusions. Okay, inferences, conclusions, and predictions. Oh, I have to stop it presenting, and you are now presenting. Stop presenting this and present the video. Please tell me when you hear the video, if you can hear it and see it when I play it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, class, I think now we're ready to do some exercises in the textbook. Please refer to page 124, 125 very quickly. We're going to do a few exercises here, but the rest, as I said at the beginning of the class, please don't skip an exercise and try to work with another classmate. If you do not find classmate, work individually and then consult the classmate later on to see and compare your answers and discuss your answers. On page 124, at the bottom you find the title of a novel, Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon. On the next page, B, this passage is from the beginning of the book. Just read the title. Preview it quickly. Preview, take a few seconds to preview it, read the first line and notice any keywords, and then read it carefully, After that, we're going to answer some of the questions in C about, some inferencing questions. So take a few minutes to read the text carefully.